Thank you. Oh, can you just move to the next slide then, please? Thank you. Okay. So I've tried to address the questions in maybe in a slightly different order than the appearance of the questions, but I will address all of them, of course. And I will start out talking about the Danish strategy for personalized medicine and the background for the Danish National Genome Center, and then I will explain how we implemented whole genome sequencing in national healthcare in Denmark, and then a bit about research and international collaborations, and then about the future. So in Denmark, we have a very long history of data collection. We put everything into registries, basically. So it's everything about from abortion to visits to the general practitioner or to death reason or all kind of treatments made in hospital. Everything is put into registries, and this is kind of important to understand when I explain further on the Danish initiative. And this is kind of just to give you an idea about all the things we have in the registries. So if from the day you are born or even before you're born, everything is collected and stored, and the Danes have a long tradition for this, and they trust a lot in the authorities in collecting all those data. And these data are traditionally also been made available for research. They're collected in the clinical settings and are made available for research since the last 50 years or so. Next slide, please. And that's kind of the background for the Danish strategy for personalized medicine also, because building on this strong tradition, it kind of became obvious for the politicians around 2015 or something that it was really important to kind of change the setup in Denmark and focus more on personalized medicine. As we've seen in the other presentations as well, this was the time where it became really more kind of common in research, and countries started to look into this. And also in Denmark, we had a person who was kind of the driver behind this. It was the Minister of Health at that time, who was extremely interested in healthcare, and she also used to be a politician within the regions who drive the healthcare settings in Denmark. So the government, also pushed by researchers, came up with a strategy. And back in 2017, it was made public. And as part of the strategy, it was also stated that Denmark wanted to implement whole genome sequencing in healthcare settings in Denmark. And the discussions were also started together with the Novo Nordisk Foundation, which is a big private foundation in Denmark. And they were also very interested in supporting this initiative. So they followed closely the discussions in the parliament and ended up agreeing on actually funding a big part of the implementation of whole genome sequencing in Denmark. So it's written in the strategy, and it was 2018 that was established a new law on the establishment of the Danish National Genome Center, and also of general reporting of data. So every time a comprehensive genetic test is done in healthcare in Denmark, the data has to be sent into the National Genome Center and stored in the National Genome Database. So the money was actually released by the end of 2018, and in 2019, the Danish National Genome Center was then established as a consequence of the strategy. And then a detailed roadmap was elaborated, and then we started building the entire infrastructure around this. And I mean by infrastructure, not only the technical parts, we had to build a supercomputer, a genome database, but also the infrastructure from the national genome database out to the hospitals, because it's kind of complicated setup with all the access that we have to have, and also the governance set up around this, because national healthcare in Denmark is at the national level and the hospitals are at the regional level. So we had to kind of have a very including or inclusive governance where we had all the hospitals present in the setup. Okay, so we had the entire kind of, let's call it physical setup was ready. We also started discussing with all the professionals in Denmark, I mean, which patients to include in this setup where we should offer whole genome sequencing. So which patients should get this offer. Yeah. It was then a big process where we had all the clinicians actually suggesting which patient groups to include, and we had a whole team studying that, doing the coordinations and evaluations and discussions. And then in the end, it was decided that 17 patient groups in Denmark should get this offer, and the inclusion criteria was actually made with experts from within these 17 areas, and our healthcare team was sitting together with them and writing down all the inclusion and exclusion criteria, etc., with the objectives of giving the same offer to patients across Denmark. So one of the big issues here was actually to make sure that patients all over Denmark would get exactly the same offer. And it's also important here to say that our focus in the national strategy for personalized medicine has been very much on diagnostics in this first strategy. So hopefully in the next strategy, we'll focus more on prevention, but in phase 1, so to say, our focus has been on diagnostics and not so much on prevention. And also focus has been on implementation directly into healthcare, which make the Danish setup quite different from most of the other setups, as it was also said by Frédéric from France, that in for example, Genomics England, they did this big 100,000 project before they implemented directly into healthcare. So I think this is kind of where Denmark and France have done it slightly different than most other countries, also what we heard from Belgium and Italy today. Yes, next slide, please. And this is just to show you that it was all, so to say, kickstarted by this quite big donation from the Novo Nordisk Foundation. But it was also really important for the Danish ministry that this should be on the annual budget. So it has all the way from the beginning been on the annual budget, national budget in Denmark as well. And also with a substantial in-kind from the regions, because the regions are, as I said, driving the healthcare settings in Denmark. So we have had quite a lot of clinicians working on this, of course, and they have had to change the entire way of working and everything in the healthcare setting. So they have done a very big part of the job here. Next slide, please. Yes, and with the establishment of the Danish National Genome Center, it's important to understand that the major tasks of the Genome Center has been to, first of all, coordinate this implementation of whole genome sequencing within the healthcare system in Denmark. So we had this healthcare team. I think Peter is also here, present here today. He's been in charge of this process, coordinating with the clinicians and with the different regions and departments in the hospitals. Then all this data generated in healthcare in Denmark is then collected in the genome database. So it has to be reported to us. We put it into the genome database. And then the data can be made accessible afterwards for clinicians if they want to access the data again and use it in the treatment of the patient. And also for researchers with the objective of generating more personalized medicine in Denmark. And then, of course, we run this supercomputer where the data is stored and the entire infrastructure, and we promote personalized medicine in Denmark in general. So, for example, we assist the minister in all issues related to personalized medicine. We also represent Denmark in the 1+1 Genomes initiatives and other initiatives related to personalized medicine. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So when implementing in healthcare, we have these different core tasks I just said. So the first kind of main task was implementation of whole genome sequencing into healthcare settings in Denmark. And I will just say a few words on this part before I continue with research and strategic collaboration. Next slide, please. So it's important to understand that in Denmark, the ministry is, of course, at national level, and the hospitals are placed at the regional level. So the Danish National Genome Center is actually trying to connect the national and the regional levels. So it's very much a top-down initiative that we have in Denmark, similar to the French initiative, where it was decided at the political level, and then the agreement with the national level and the leaders of the regional level was made, and then the implementation was started. We, of course, had experts involved in this process all along the way, but it's very different from many other countries where it's been driven more by researchers and clinicians who have, come together and taken decisions, and then the things have grown out of that. Next slide, please. So also, again, similar to France, this is quite funny because these two initiatives have been developed at the same time, and apparently many of the things we've decided are very similar, even though we didn't actually talk together in the beginning. But we have also two sequencing settings in Denmark, even though we have 5 regions. And it's so one sequencing site has taken care of 3 regions, and the other sequencing site taking care of 2 regions. And this is just also to show that this is actually one of the challenges. Even though Denmark is a very small country, we have 5 regions, which are all kind of very small compared to most of the other European regions. And it's been quite difficult to make these regions actually work together. First of all, we had some data processing agreements that was quite complicated to get in place, but also making actually the clinicians talk together across the regions has shown to be slightly complicated, but it has helped a lot with this national initiative. Next slide, please. This is just to give you an idea of a very simplified drawing of the flow. So out there in the clinic, the clinicians, they have kind of looked, okay, this patient seems to be within the 17 patient groups that should get the whole genome sequencing offer, and also, you know, within the inclusion criteria. Then they talk to the patient, and if the patient agrees, then they have to sign a consent. And it's important here to state that in the consents in Denmark, it's stated you can only get a whole genome sequencing done in Denmark if the data is reported to the Danish National Genome Center. Meaning if the patient says, no, thank you, I don't want my data to be based in a national database, then they can actually not get this done within this healthcare setting in Denmark. And then they also automatically consent to having their data used for research. So this is also kind of mandatory that your data can be used for research, but then afterwards you can actually choose to opt out. So you have to sign the consent, but then you can go home and then you can actually register in a database saying that you don't want your data to be used for research. And it's all research within personalized medicine. We don't have different research areas that you can sign up for. It's everything or nothing. And then the sample is sent to the sequencing facilities. They do the whole genome sequencing. The data is put into the database or to the infrastructure and directly into the genome database, and then the interpretation is done, and the answer is given back to the patients within the clinical settings. And the clinicians can then access the data again in the genome database when they need the data. And at the same time, the data in the middle in the National Genome Database can then be used for research by researchers in Denmark. Next slide, please. And this is just to give you an idea of the 17 patient groups that were chosen in Denmark. They are quite similar to the patients group within other initiatives around the world. It's of course rare diseases and cancer, which are the big groups, and then we have kind of more detailed grouping within these 2 big groups. And the idea with the donation from the Novo Nordisk Foundation was to get this kickstarted and do the first 60,000 patients for free, so to say. So it was paid by the foundation, and then after the 60,000, the regions have to take over by themselves. So the funding is actually slowly running out, and we've reached 31,000 now, and we hope to reach the 6,000 maybe by the end of next year. Next slide, please. So we haven't been able to do a big evaluation so far, but we've done some kind of looked into preliminary outcome of the implementation of whole genome sequencing in Denmark. And I'm not going to go through the details here, but I just want to make sure that you understand this is not like a real evaluation. We didn't look into all the data and all the patient journals, etc. We will hopefully be able to do that at some point in the future. But what we did now was to do some qualitative interviews. We did some literature reading, etc. You can see a small model here down here in the corner, right corner. But we did talk to the clinicians, and I think one of the most important lessons learned, are that the clinicians actually did see this as an added value. They have been talking together more than they did before across regions, across departments. They have accessed this in a more consistent and systematic way. It's the patients, they do get diagnosis faster and more accurate than they did before. And many more patients get the opportunity of a specific and targeted treatment and follow-up. There's also, the patients have stated that this is extremely meaningful for them. So sometimes the objective here is not actually to get a better treatment. Maybe it's just to get the real diagnosis. These patients are patients that have been waiting for diagnosis maybe for years. So this has really made an added value for the patients. So I think these are kind of the most important outcome of the whole genome sequencing. I think as I also heard from France, is that this is actually, maybe it's not that we know that we save money yet, but in many occasions, the patients, they get whole genome sequencing as the first test instead of going through different genetic tests before they get this offer. So I think in the longer run, we will be able to save money with the whole genome sequencing. And then, of course, we also have had some or faced some challenges. First of all, shortage of interpreters and clinicians who have this specific knowledge. And this is because, of course, we've been changing the entire way of working in the clinics really fast. So it's most of the clinicians didn't get a lot of education on genetics back at the medical school, and then of course we don't have a lot of people for the interpretation yet because it's a new education, and we're still kind of trying to reach the numbers that we need. And of course, doing more whole genome sequencing than before has increased the number of increased the response time. And then the regions are also looking, they're missing a national variant database, etc. So we still have things to develop and things to do, but I think in general, this has been quite a big success. Next slide, please. And yes, I just slightly touched about the challenges, but we are now moving from this foundation funded initiative to up and running national plan that has to become a daily offer to the patients, and this means that it has to be part of the regions or regional budgets. And the regions are, of course, very much interested in doing whole genome sequencing, but they also hope that the state will continue paying for a while. So we are having those negotiations right now, and I think we have landed in a very kind of acceptable level right now, where part of it will be paid by the regions, and some of the infrastructure will continue to be paid by the national level or the annual budget. And yes, then we also have some challenges with this evaluation I just talked about previously. We would very much look into a very kind of clear model of evaluation where we can see which patient actually benefit from this, both at the clinical kind of effect and outcome. Where do patients actually get diagnosis faster? Where do they get better treatment, etc.? And how can we actually use this these whole genome sequencing also for prevention, etc. So we don't have a very clear model for this yet. We hope to be able to look into this in the future, but it's quite complicated to get all the data out and at the individual level and do these analysis. And then of course this is also needed if we want to do economic evaluation of the setup. So when is it actually cheaper to do whole genome sequencing? When should we stick with exomes or arrays, etc.? So we're looking into how to do these evaluations. We don't have very clear numbers, more indication as it is now. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So at the research level, all the data reported to the genome database can then be used for research by researchers based in Denmark. So if you can go to the next slide. this is kind of the process. If you are a researcher or research group, you have to be connected with a Danish research institution, or the PI at least should be based at a Danish research institution. Then they can apply for access to the data if they have an approval from the ethical committee system in Denmark and the data is of societal interest. I haven't seen a research application yet, which hasn't been of societal interest. And then within personalized medicine, if the application is approved, then the data can be accessed at a cloud or a folder at our infrastructure, meaning that the genome data can never leave the National Genome Center's infrastructure, but the data can be accessed and the results or the analysis can be taken out through a very secure process where only accumulated data or research or analysis results can be taken out. Next slide, please. And this is we're working closely together with other agencies, state agencies in Denmark, and also at the international level to make sure that the access to data by researchers is not only data from the National Genome Database, because of course you'll need more than the very limited metadata we have at the genome database, but you will also need to connect with all those registries that I showed you in the beginning. So we're slowly connecting with Statistics Denmark and the Danish Health Data Authority, etc., to make sure that this data can be connected, and also, for example, data from patient records at hospitals, etc. It's quite a complicated process, not only at the technical level, but also at the legal level. But we're slowly getting more and more data available, and we are in Denmark working on a national vision for better use of health data, where all this data will at some point within the next years be connected. And of course, this will also be the entrance to the European health data space. Next slide, please. So this is just now that I have all of you here together. I mean, why should we actually work together internationally at this? And this is, of course, because we all want to influence the European agenda to make sure that personalized medicine is a very important thing within the European agenda. We need to make sure that what we're doing nationally builds up to the European Health Database, to the Genomic Data Infrastructure Project, etc., to make sure that the patients actually can benefit the most from our collaboration across borders. We really need to collect and share knowledge and experiences, because what we are doing in Denmark is something that you might be able to learn from in Belgium, and what they're doing in Sweden might be something we want to learn from in Denmark, etc., etc. So it's really important that we don't commit the same mistakes, but that we share knowledge and make sure that our visions and strategies, etc., are shared, and also the technical and the legal aspects are shared, so that we can actually learn from each other and build something that can be interoperable at the national or the European level, but also make sure that we don't waste a lot of time and money in things that doesn't really make a difference. From the Danish level, from the Danish National Genome Center, we are, of course, here in the 1+ Million Genomes together with all of you, working closely on this knowledge sharing. And I think this is really nice with this new working group, with this focus on sharing experiences from the national initiatives. We are also part of the GDI and soon in the Genome of Europe. And we have also engaged in the 1+ Million Genomes Plus or beyond. And then with the working group 6 on the economic impact, we think it's really important to make sure that we can actually work on these numbers and together figure out exactly which patients groups will benefit from this, but both at the clinical but also at the economic level, and have this data to legitimize political decisions on allocation of budgets. And we also work with NTA 48 and the National Institute Forum, etc. Next slide, please. And then we have signed agreements together with Sweden, France, and England. Sweden, because Sweden has a national setup healthcare setup, which is extremely similar to the Danish setup. France, because France has actually built everything quite similar to what we have built. So we think it's really important to learn from each other here. And of course, Genomics England, because they have a lot of experience that we can all learn from, due to the 100,000 initiative and implementation in healthcare, which started out at the same time as in France and Denmark. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. So what comes for the future? As I said, we are slowly changing from this project, you could say, where we have had finance from a national funding from a national research, foundation. And we are now slowly changing into real, let's call it operations, where it's part of the block budget that the regions get every year from the state, and also based on taxes. Then we are trying to find the level for the future related to the financing. I mean, would we still continue with all 17 patient groups? Will the region do it differently? I mean, we're trying to continue the coordinations with the regions and make sure that Danish patients get the same offer across the country. We are now building a new supercomputer because unfortunately supercomputers have a very short lifetime. So it's already getting a bit old, and we're building a new one, and we hope that this will also in the future be some kind of national health data lakehouse with housing all the registries in Denmark and making it easier to connect all this data, and of course also the European Health Data Space. And then we really hope to be able to develop these models for cost effective and both within when it comes to storage and what data to store and what data that it's cheaper to generate again and run pipelines again, etc. And also, of course, the evidence for economic impact to make sure that we can actually get this budget allocations made at the political level, because if we don't have any evidence, I mean, it doesn't really make sense to do whole genome sequencing, of course. And then, of course, the connection with the European Health Data Space. And then I just hope that we are within this group and the 1+1 Genomes initiative in general, of course, can build up an even stronger European collaboration. And I think, as was also stated by Italy in the beginning, we really need to focus on this together and make sure we get sufficient funding to drive these initiatives forward, because it can really change the way we do healthcare in our countries. I think that was the last slide. Yes. Thank you for listening.